In this video, we're going to talk about artificial lights in VRAY for SketchUp. So right here you can see some examples of the various types of lights that we can insert here in VRAY for SketchUp, and you can also find this usually in other software. So the most common are the Omni directional light or sphere light, and the cone light, which is also called a spotlight, and the planar or area light, or also how it's called here in V-Ray, the rectangle light. We're gonna go through all these different types of lights and also their parameters. And as always, we're gonna start with really simple things and then we will move to something more advanced. So let me show you everything from the beginning. So let's start a new scene. And from here, we can rapidly create a rectangle in SketchUp and extrude this with the push and pull button and simply remove a couple of walls here. So we will pretend that this is a room or an interior space. Doesn't matter if it's open here, it's gonna be easier to look inside. And if you want to create some openings, you can also just create a rectangle on a wall and then remove with the delete key. And maybe I want to make this a little bit bigger, something like this. Okay, so the first thing we want to check if we have some lightning on. So I'm going to launch the standard rendering here. And if everything, yeah, okay. So we have the sun and light and the skylight already activated, and we can see how the light is coming through the window. Now we can decide to use both artificial and natural lighting, or we can also insert some night settings here in the parameters of SketchUp. Since this is synchronized, I can type here, for example, like midnight or very late, and it's gonna be everything is gonna be black because there is no light at all. So in this situation, it's better to study and understand the other lights. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to move this a little bit down here. We already talked about the first tool here called the light generator. So let's proceed with the rectangle light. Rectangle light can be placed on any surface. And for example, if I place it right here, like that, it's gonna place in this way and it's gonna point in the interior part of my room here. And this is also going to be similar to a window opening. So if I render this out, you can see this is looking like a window with a very bright exterior and very dark interior. So you can use this to simulate artificial, but also sometimes natural light coming from a window. And also you can manipulate with the move and rotate and scale any light that you're gonna insert. Now you can also use these utilities, which is enable solid widget, and this is gonna look like a plane, so it could be easier this way to manipulate with the rotate, scale, and move. So here I can scale this up like that, or maybe make it narrower and things like that. And just let's re-render here. Okay. And this is one way you can start to modify and edit your lights using the move, rotate, and scale. Also, you can hide the lights from the scene. So if you don't want to see these widgets, you can hide them. Depends if they are useful to you, otherwise you can remove them. Now in this case, these are going to be really useful because we need to understand where our light is pointing. Okay, and let's move to the next one, which is the sphere light. So for the sphere light, again, I will click and move with the mouse, and it's gonna create a sphere, as you can see. And again, it's like snapped to the wall. It's really close to the wall. So if I make a render here, I can see the sphere is gonna be half sphere, kind of a wall lamp. And then I can move this with the move tool. Click on a particular corner. And if you want to make sure you are moving in a precise direction, you can use the keyboard's arrows. So for example, if you use the right arrow, it's gonna only move into the X axis. So you can be sure that it's not gonna move up or down. Okay, and then I want to move it up. So I'm gonna press the up arrow and it's gonna move into the Z axis. Okay, now it's like in the middle of the room and it's gonna look like a sphere. So this type of light is gonna emit the photons all over. So it can be also considered an omnidirectional light, which is pretty common in 3D software. Okay, so they have different type of emission, but also different type of shadows. But we're gonna see that later on. Let's go to the next one, which is the spotlight. And these are the main three. Then you have like variation and other type of lights, but these are the three main, let's call it artificial lights. And again, you can find it in any software. Now for the spotlight or the cone light, you can just click once and it's gonna point on the floor. Okay, and let's zoom in here now and let's see the effect. Okay, now usually this one it's really low, so you cannot see at first glance, and we need to modify that in order to start to see something. And the first thing I would do is I would move this away from the wall, otherwise it could be the surface of the wall blocking the emission of the light. So I'm gonna move this a little bit on the red axis so that it's just pretty close to the wall, but not actually in the wall. And you can also click the Control key if you want to make copies. So if you want to like create anything in copy here in SketchUp, you just type Control and then you can multiply the object. But if you're interested in SketchUp, you can check the video course on SketchUp. Now we're gonna focus on VRAY. And so let's start the render again. Let's see if we can see something already or not. Okay, yes, we can see something, but it's really, really low again. So this is something that we need to fix in the settings in the VRAY asset editor, which we're gonna go in just a minute. And this one here is the Omni light. Omni light, it's pretty similar to the sphere light, but in this case, it doesn't have a diameter, or it's not